Well, that was from the movie Hot Rod. I don't know if you ever saw that or anything, but one minute you're just punch dancing in the woods, and then you trip and everything just spirals out of control. Anyway, I'm Jeremy Pearson. I'm your substitute preacher for the day. If you're new here, I'm not normally up here. You may have heard legends of Josh Grimes or Sam Waldron and their beautiful messages, and you finally show up and you have me. So, well, anyway, I am continuing our journey through Psalm 23. So, Jared, can you pop it up? Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. I probably have the meatiest portion of that entire song. Back in 2012, I was going to Lock Haven University for broadcast and journalism. I was really involved with it too. I was doing stuff with the radio station and the TV station, and I was working for the school newspaper, really into it, and I was just really excited to graduate. And eventually, in the summer of 2012, graduation finally happened, and I was just feeling great. Wide open world ahead of me. So I, like every other college graduate, kind of did nothing for a few weeks, because I needed a rest, I don't know. Then I started finally applying for work. And I realized that was much harder than I had anticipated. But you spend 4 years just pumping yourself up. You know, like, yeah, I'm gonna be working out in the field, it's gonna be amazing. And I applied and applied and applied. God, silence. So I needed money. I had to pay rent and eat. So I started lowering my standards. I just applied to any job. And then I got that wonderful phrase that they always give you. You're overqualified. I get it. As soon as I got like a radio job or something, I would have just left anyway. I probably wasn't a great investment, but I still needed money. So as I kept applying, my patience was dwindling, and I was getting rather discouraged. Finally, though, I did land a job in a radio station in Williamsport. It was only part-time, like all my other jobs, but I thought, ooh, this is a big break, no time, I'll be in a full-time career. So I started working with my primary duty, which was dressing up in a chicken costume outside of remote broadcasts. That was probably one of the hardest things I ever did. It hurt both to my pride and was just the most physically demanding thing I've ever experienced. The temperature of that suit is only comparable to the surface of the sun. It was awful. But I only almost passed out twice, so I had that going for me. I just kept doing that, working other part-time jobs, making absolutely no money. And then, wouldn't you know, those pesky student loans activated, and it was time to pay them back. You know, the thing that you just don't take seriously for 4 years, because you're like, I'm going to have a great job. I'll pay off school in a month. It's going to be easy. Why not? Well, yeah, they came knocking, and things got a little bit harder. Rent was harder to pay, because I also had to pay these loans. Time kept going on, and other bills got backed up. I owed money to Verizon, and then they sent some collection bounty hunters after me. I was dodging calls from them, dodging the bank. The American education system was constantly after me. Then my roommate, which was Jared at the time, got married and moved out on to better things. So it was just me in an apartment, taking everything on and not paying for a whole lot of stuff. So I was just, kind of avoiding my landlord, avoiding the American education system, avoiding Verizon. I was kind of just running. And then winter came. And with cold weather, the furnace gets on. And it just does that by itself. It wouldn't take a break. And I then ran out of oil. At the time, oil was really expensive. So I was having trouble to get oil into this oil tank to heat the apartment I was living in while also paying my other bills. And I was just really stuck. I was probably, let's face it, a week away from utter financial devastation. And I just sat there wondering what happened. I graduated on top of the world. 6 quick months, I'm all of a sudden being crushed by it. So enough about me. Anyway, let's go to David. David was sort of in a similar situation. He, as we knew from last week, he's constantly running from Saul, who was wildly jealous of him and wants him dead because he was promised to be king. And that was kind of a tough spot for David, to just be told, oh, you're going to rule this whole land, and then just spend forever just running and running because you're being hunted down in your own home. And eventually, David just got exhausted. Okay. So, 1 Samuel, chapter 27, David's thinking to himself, one of these days I will be destroyed by the hand of Saul. The best thing I can do is escape to the land of the Philistines. Then Saul will give up searching for me anywhere in Israel, and I will slip out of his hand. So David, goes with very little. He gathers 600 men and he goes off to a neighboring land, the land of Gath, where Achish was. And David walked alongside of Achish and grew in his favor. Achish liked him very much, and they would often go into battle together, and he thought so highly of David. Other Philistines did not feel that way. They did not like the Hebrews, and David, most of all, was super popular. There's legends about him doing great things, and they don't trust him and his men to follow them into battle. So, that brings us to chapter 30. Bear with me. I have quite a chunk here. Then it happened, when David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had made a raid on the Negev and the Ziklag, and had overthrown Ziklag and burned it with fire. They took captive the women and all who were in it, both small and great, without killing anyone, and carried them off and went on their way. When David and his men came to the city, behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives, their sons, and their daughters had been taken captive. And David and the people who were with him lifted their voices and wept until there was no strength in them to weep. Now, David's 2 wives had been taken captive, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal, the Carmelite. Moreover, David was greatly distressed because the people spoke of stoning him, for all the people were embittered, each one because of his sons and his daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord. He said to Abiathar, the priest, son of Ahimelech, please bring me the ephod. So Abiathar brought the ephod to David. David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I pursue this band? Shall I overtake them? And he said to him, pursue, for you will surely overtake them, and you will surely rescue all. So David went, he and 600 guys were there, and came to the brook Besor, where those left behind remained. But David pursued, he and 400 of his men, for 200 were too exhausted to cross the brook Besor, in which they remained behind. Now they found an Egyptian in a field, and they brought him to David. They gave him bread, and he ate, and they provided him water to drink. They gave him a piece of fig cake and 2 clusters of raisin, and he ate. Which I'll interject, I actually ate some compressed fig this morning and did wonders. I feel great. Anyway, the rest of this message is brought to you by Fig Cakes for when your spirit needs revive. Lost my spot. Anyway, David said to him, "To whom do you belong, and where are you from?" And he said, "I am a young man of Egypt, a servant of an Amalekite, and my master left me behind when I fell sick 3 days ago. We made a raid on the Negeb, and Cherethites, and on that which belongs to Judah, and the Negeb of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire." And David said to him, "Will you bring me down to this band?" And he said, "Swear to me by God that you will not kill me or deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring you down to this band." When he had brought him down, behold, they were spread all over the land, eating and drinking and dancing because of all the great spoil they had taken from the land of the Philistines and from the land of Judah. David slaughtered them from twilight until evening of the next day. Not a man of them escaped except for 400 young men who rode away on camels and fled. So David recovered all that the Amalekites had taken and rescued his 2 wives, but nothing of theirs was missing, whether small or great, sons or daughters, spoil or anything that had taken for themselves. David brought it all back. So David had captured all the sheep and the cattle which the people drove ahead of the other livestock, and they said, "This is David's spoil." I need some water. All right. So David's been having a tough go right now. He's already really stressed. Saul is after him, and he keeps running in his own home. So he leaves and finds refuge in his neighbor's land. He even makes friends with a hired leader, and things start to look up, at least for a little while. At least he can rest. But then, of course, the Philistines distrust him and cast him aside. So what do you do when you're cast aside again? You just go home. So he goes to the village he's staying in, and lo and behold, the whole thing is burned to the ground. So the last place that David really thought, I could just go, at least take a nap or something, was wiped out completely. And at that point, I couldn't imagine what they all were feeling. And then even David's own men who were with him enough to run to this foreign land were starting to turn against him. And they were trying to find ways to kill him. And that's kind of an interesting place for David to be, because when you hit rock bottom, up's the only remaining direction you can actually look. And David just knew, I have to stick with God or just essentially die. And it's sort of weird, like we have our own problems in today's society. David's not necessarily Mr. Relatable. We don't have a posse of 600 people to follow us around, and we weren't promised kingship or anything. But we can also feel very comforted in the fact that God cares to identify with us. He sent his son here. His son is completely man. And all the flaws, the physical flaws that come with it, he got super hungry, really thirsty, he was dirty. I imagine if he stubbed his toe, that thing where he just kind of grunt angrily and flail. But he also had some other emotional issues as well, where his friends betrayed him or acted as if they didn't know him when he really could have used a shoulder to lean on. And he always had his ultimate sacrifice of dying for our sins looming all through the ministry. He knew exactly what was going to happen and had to get up every day, keep walking forward with all the scorn that came with people from all these towns, and just walking from place to place. But in all that, he just kept moving. Because Jesus did something, no matter what came his way, he always left the way to the Father to pray. Every time, no matter how stressed he would get, he always went off because he knew that any victory he would have is sourced from God. And in doing so, he was able to just perform amazing miracles. He revived people from the dead, healed ailments. He had wisdom that we couldn't even imagine that he just got from the Lord. And even when it came time for him to be crucified, he was back in 3 days and saved everybody. And the exciting thing is that because Jesus did that, he brought us closer to God. And we have that same power that he does. We're able to actually go to the creator of the universe, and he actually cares about our problems. And he wants us to lean on him. Like if you were in the woods and an angry bear came up, you would not let a toddler handle the situation. You would probably step in. We're just toddlers against bears, and God does not want us handling everything on our own. He wants us to come to him. So anyway, here I am in David's position. I'm at rock bottom. Like I have no idea what I'm going to do at this point. I'm going to have to break trust with my landlord, be like, listen, I can't pay rent, and by the way, the apartment's freezing, and yeah, you might want to get on that. I owed money, my credit was just getting slashed. It was quite something. And I was going to have to go to people I know to beg for help. I was absolutely out of options, and I had no mobility whatsoever. And then that's when it happened. My Egyptian in a field came in the form of community services group. A job where I took care of people with severe mental disabilities. And that was not exactly what I thought I would be doing upon graduating, but let's face it, my pride at the time was shot. I didn't have many choices, so I went with it. The job was really gross. It was extremely exhausting, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. But I kept going anyway, and following what God had placed in front of me. And things started to stabilize. Pipes in the apartment never froze and broke because I was able to heat it again. I paid off Verizon and the goons that they sent after me. I caught up with paying for education. Eventually, I was actually able to stabilize myself enough to buy a ring and get married, all within the same year, which I would not have thought was possible a few months prior, because I was poor. But I just kept following it, and things kept going up. Since then, I've had many jobs, and things have always changed, but being to that point taught me that God is there. It was like a tutorial. I know bigger challenges will come. Other people have far greater challenges in their lives than I did at this particular time. But all of our problems are small to God, just like David's. Just like Jesus saving the world. It wasn't a big deal to God. But it was a big deal because he loved us. So, if you don't get anything from this message, just know, when we panic, when things are tough, our impulse is to grab the reins of life and we just want to steer everything in our own direction. And when we do that, things normally just get worse. And peace doesn't actually come until you realize that you've been the horse the entire time. And if God leaves you, you will just go so much further than you first imagined. Anyway, that's all I have for you. If the worship team wants to come back up and keep this moving, that would be nice.